So as teams try to get cap compliant for the start of the new league year, more moves were made today around the league, including a veteran pass rusher getting released, a wide receiver unexpectedly getting traded with a division rival. That team is also deciding to clean house, and if that wasn't enough, an all-star requested a trade today, and that both confused and upset many. So let's talk about all that and more right after. First up, late Wednesday evening, the Los Angeles Chargers announced they are releasing the longtime veteran pass rusher Joey Bosa. This move saves them $25.4 million in cap space and was basically a no-brainer move for a couple of reasons, even though it probably wasn't easy for them to do because of how long he's been there. Bosa's been one of the better pass rushers in the league throughout his career, but he has a thorough injury history, we'll touch on that in a minute, and isn't getting any younger. This is a trend for LA and an attempt to get younger as well, similar to how they released Mike Williams and traded Keenan Allen before the start of last season. Make no mistake, when Bosa is out on the field, he's one of the best in the game. He won Defensive Rookie of the Year in 2016, made 5 Pro Bowls, and recorded 10 or more sacks 4 times in his career. The problem is, the guy has really struggled to stay healthy, especially the last few seasons. He's missed 23 games in the last 3 seasons alone, which makes it difficult to justify keeping him on the roster with that big of a cap hit. Bosa has been in the league for 9 seasons now and is still just 29 years old, so there's probably going to be several teams that will look past his injury history and maybe even hand him a multi-year deal. We shall see what comes of that, but as for the Chargers, I'm curious to see what they do from here. Bosa is gone, Khalil Mack is a free agent, as is Asante Samuel Jr., so they've got some decisions to make in terms of how to spend their money. They're rumored to be in the mix for DK Metcalf as well after he requested a trade yesterday, and if that's the case, they're going to need some cap space. Well, they definitely got it by cutting Bosa, as they now have over $90 million heading into free agency, which is the 3rd most in the entire league. So they have plenty of room for DK, but they also need to work on that D-line as well. Speaking of DK Metcalf, though, the Seahawks reportedly want a 1st and 3rd round pick for him, per Diana Rossini of The Athletic, which I doubt they get all that. But hey, you gotta start somewhere. Then DK also wants a new contract that's around $30 million APY. Now, according to DraftKings, the betting favorite for where DK ends up is actually a 2-way tie between him actually staying in Seattle, so they get a deal done with him after all, no trade necessary, or he gets dealt to the Chargers. The Chargers make a lot of sense here because they are a contender, and pairing DK Metcalf up with Ladd McConkey would be quite the 1-2 combo. The Patriots are then right behind this 2-way tie on the list here. They're not really contenders, which is something Adam Schefter said interested DK and where he wanted to go next, but they do have the most available cap space heading into next season. Drake May, franchise quarterback, is at the helm, and then of course Mike Vrabel is their head coach, and he's probably going to help turn this franchise around pretty quickly. So for the right money, DK could potentially be convinced to go there. It's just anybody's guess at this point in time. And staying with the wide receiver news, the LA Rams reached an agreement with Tutu Atwell for a 1-year, $10 million fully guaranteed contract. Well, I, like many others, were a bit surprised by this news, only because he hasn't been the most productive receiver through his first 3 seasons. The Rams took him in the 2nd round of the 2021 draft, so expectations were fairly high, yet his best season came last year when he had 42 catches for 562 yards and 0 touchdowns. He was on the field for less than 39% of the team's offensive snaps this year as well, but here's a couple reasons why they probably kept him. It's just a 1-year deal, and they might be banking on an uptick in production from him next year, especially with Cooper Kupp expected to be traded this offseason. They would have been pretty thin if they lost both Kupp and Atwell, so it makes sense to try to keep one of them. Next up, the Cleveland Browns got a little cap relief today by restructuring Deshaun Watson's contract, converting nearly $45 million of his salary into a signing bonus. The move saves them $35.8 million in cap space and puts them in a much better position this offseason, but this contract is abysmal, awful, god-awful piece of whatever you could think of for an adjective to describe this contract. It is that and more. It only gets worse when you consider the fact that Watson tore his Achilles back in October, had surgery, tore it again during rehab, and had another surgery in January, which means he may very well never play football again, and even when he was on the field, he was awful. The Browns are still on the hook for a bunch of money as well. Look at this. His cap hit in 2025, pretty manageable, $36.9 million. But then in 2026, $81.6 million. And then 2027 is a void year, but it features another whopping $57 million. So much money. That's why they probably need to draft a quarterback this year if they can, cheap rookie deal for the win, or try to sign somebody like Kirk Cousins if the Falcons end up letting him go after all. And then longtime NFL center Mitch Morse announced his retirement on Instagram this morning, calling it a career after 10 seasons, a decade in the NFL. He was drafted by the Chiefs in the second round of the 2015 draft, playing 4 seasons in KC before becoming the highest paid center at the time, signing a 4-year, $44 million deal with the Bills. He spent his next 5 seasons there before being released and playing his final year in Jacksonville. And after seeing the team up close for a full year, I don't blame him one bit for retiring. Okay, bad joke. Jokes aside, shout out to Mitch Morse for a great career, and I do wish him the best in retirement. And while we're talking retirements, former Raiders receiver Hunter Renfrow has officially retired. Or so we thought after this tweet from this dumb account, NFL Rumors. They're about as reliable as a 1940 Model T. Renfrow found the humor in it though, saying, "Just when I thought about making a comeback, I got hit with this bombshell. Guess I shouldn't have started working out again 2 months ago, LOL." So yeah, he is definitely not retiring, and the original post even got community noted with it simply saying, "No, he hasn't." That account sucks, by the way. If you follow them for news, joke's on you. Whether or not Renfrow will actually play again in the NFL remains to be seen, but for now, he has not officially retired. Next up, the Vikings just signed safety Theo Jackson to a 2-year extension worth $12.6 million. A 6th-round pick by the Titans in 2022, he signed to the Vikings practice squad after getting released that offseason, and he's been with the team in a backup role ever since, bouncing between the roster and the practice squad. He appeared in several games last year, though, filling in when guys went down with injury, and to his credit, did play well, even snagging the game-sealing INT in a win over the Seahawks last year. Well, shortly after this news broke, Vikings beat reporter Alec Lewis made it seem like this signing basically meant their current starting safety, Cam Bynum, is likely gone in free agency. The two sides have been trying to work a deal out since before the start of last season, but they couldn't agree on a number, and therefore he's probably going to be elsewhere, or at the very least will test the market. So for now, they extended Theo Jackson, who will likely cost half or even less than half of what Bynum is set to make. And then it looks like the Jags won't be releasing Christian Kirk after all. They actually made a bunch of moves today worth talking about. Well, yesterday it was believed he was going to be let go to save the Jags $10 million or so in cap space, but instead they traded him to a division rival for a 7th-round pick. So I guess they got something out of him rather than just letting him walk, but a 7th-round pick is far from a guaranteed thing. So many are surprised the Jags would trade him to a division rival for that little of a return. Either way, I get it. They got something out of Kirk at least. Meanwhile, the Texans will take on the entirety of his remaining contract, which is just $16.5 million for this upcoming season. That makes sense for them. It's kind of a low-risk deal since it's just 1 year. Stephon Diggs is coming off of an ACL tear and is a free agent anyways. Plus, Tank Dell could miss the entirety of the 2025 season with the knee injury he suffered late last year. I mean, he literally just had ACL surgery yesterday, March 5th. So Kirk can definitely provide them with another solid weapon across from Nico Collins. He's still just 28 years old, and when he's on the field, he is a reliable target. That's kind of the issue, though. He's missed 14 games in the last 2 years and had his 2024 campaign cut short due to a broken collarbone. Believe it or not, but the Jags were not even close to being done there. They then released 2-time Pro Bowl return man Devin Duvernay, wide receiver Josh Reynolds, and veteran tight end Evan Ingram. These moves helped clear up just over $10 million in cap space, but holy smokes, Ingram, yes, he's 31 years old, but still a productive guy, all things considered. Not the best year last year, but the fact that they moved on from him, slightly surprising. New regime, though, so they're cleaning house, and that is now 4 pass catchers they either traded or moved on from just today. Lots of changes are coming to Jacksonville in the wide receiver and tight end room for 2025. That's for sure. I will say this. Thank God they have Brian Thomas Jr. Now it appears another player could potentially find himself on a new team soon, and that is Bengals star defensive end Trey Hendrickson. It was reported today and also upset many Bengals fans in the process that the Bengals have actually given him permission to seek a trade per his request. Apparently, they offered him something. Max Crosby's deal hit, and he was like, yeah, that's not even close to what I'm worth. He also requested a trade last year, if you forgot. So with him heading into the final year of his current deal, set to make just $16 million. It's a lot of money, yes, but he wants more. I mean, he just led the NFL in sacks with 17.5, and $16 million is just not going to cut it. Should a trade actually go down, it would only be the second time in league history that a reigning sack leader got traded the following offseason. The only other, Jared Allen, who had 15.5 sacks in 2007 with the Chiefs, but was traded to the Vikings after the season. So this is very rare to say the least, but the Bengals' hands seem to be a little forced here, or at least that's how it seems based on their priorities. They got Joe Burrow paid. He's making $55 million a year. Next up is Jamar Chase, who is going to make more than Justin Jefferson, 36 or more million average per year this offseason. And then T. Higgins is next. They want to get a long-term deal done with him, but he's making over $26 million on the tag currently, and we'll see if a long-term deal does get done or not. I still say you tag and trade that man, draft a wide receiver early, but who am I? Nobody really. Anyway, because of that, the Bengals are in danger of losing yet another great defender, when in reality, they need more help on that side of the ball. I can't tell you how many times they scored 30 or more points and still lost games. Hendrickson was one of the few bright spots on that side of the ball on defense. He was incredible. On top of that, they already had linebacker Jermaine Pratt, their leading tackler from last season, request a trade. Sam Hubbard just retired. They have a couple other free agents along the line and just in miscellaneous spots on the defense. And now they might be trading away one of the best pass rushers in all of football. And there are definitely going to be teams interested. Jordan Schultz said the Commanders are among several teams who would be interested in trading for him. So ultimately, it seems like the Bengals are letting him, out of respect, gauge his market and see what he could be offered, and then they'll kind of go from there. If they get a draft pick or draft picks, plural, that they feel like is worth it, maybe they'll deal him, but maybe because of his age, he's 30 years old, going to be 31, I think, in December. Maybe he will opt to just stay with Cincinnati for years to come based on the deal that they offered him. Either way, Bengals fans are frustrated, analysts are confused, and even his own teammates, you can see on the screen here, are perplexed. If you have no Trey Hendrickson, you have no defensive line for the most part. Finding an instant draft pick to replace his level of production is going to be basically impossible as well. So Cincy might somehow end up taking an even further step back on defense, and if they do manage to keep Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, that offense might need to put up roughly 40 points per game to even stay in some of them. Make sure to let me know your thoughts on this wild Trey Hendrickson situation in the comments down below. Should they do all they can to keep him, or nah, the age thing makes sense. Get draft capital out of him while you still can, kind of like the Chiefs did with Joe Thuney. Either way, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and with that, I'll see y'all next time.